Good evening and welcome to another live stream of FPL Happy Hour with myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL Two Guys One Cup on Twitter.
And me, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda. I was like, what am I saying
Forgot.
here?
How are you, mate?
Half asleep after watching that game.
Yeah, I know it was boring.
Yeah, I was expecting fireworks, and when Everton scored early, I thought, here we go, this is going to be fun. And yeah, just they kind of felt they looked like they were comfortable with the 1-0 all the way through.
Just
Uh,
petered out, didn't it?
yeah, and
I thought it was going to be 3-1. To be fair, that's what I predicted. I predicted 3-1.
yeah, I just didn't. At no point did Southampton really look like they were going to score, and I think
Yeah,
Everton knew that, so they kind of just saw the game out from the moment they scored. Disappointing though,
Who-
with DCL just not doing anything.
got a couple of people on the chat. So Jack Wilson, otherwise known as FPL Wilson, is in the chat. Hi, mate. He said he turned it off at half time. I don't blame you, to be fair. David's in the chat. Good evening, David. We don't really have an agenda for this evening because we're kind of halfway through. I think it's probably too early to do the 5v5 for next week, as we're halfway through. So I guess the main thing is answering any questions that you guys have got. I think a few people want to know who Harvey Barnes replacement, good replacements for Harvey Barnes. So maybe talk a little bit about that. I think maybe on the pod on Thursday we'll go through a statistical analysis of who we can replace Barnes with some stats. But today we can kind of briefly talk about, I guess, eye test, and then yeah, just cover a few of the games, and yeah, that's it really.
Hmm.
Um, Mainly answer questions. Um, did you want to bring up the results then? From or should we talk about our teams first? How we're doing so far?
Do we have to?
Mate,
It's
you're
not
doing
like
better than me.
I don't think it's bad, is it? Yeah, I'm currently, as it stands, on 60 points net. Yeah, Stones and Diaz, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Man City centre backs in double game weeks.
There's just something about it, isn't there?
Yeah, something about it. Like it was Laporte last year, wasn't it? He got a brace
Yeah.
and 2 clean sheets, and this year we've already had Stones do it, and then Diaz and Stones did it this week. Um, I'm not sure how I feel about the Kane triple captain. I'm actually, you've got to be, those that are on Kane have got to be the happiest out of the sort of the big triple captain shouts.
Hmm.
Yeah, and not a lot of people went for Son. Bruno obviously blanked. Salah blanked. DCL tonight he blanked. Um, so yeah, it's been at the end of the day, Kane has come out on top so far, but yeah,
Hmm.
there's a long way to go. And Bruno Palace away, I think, that's a big fixture. Um, but I'm still quite confident now that with the way that we saw Spurs against Burnley, um, if they come out and play like they did, yeah, Burnley were awful, but Spurs just they looked like they were on their game, and if they can turn up and do that at Fulham, then they should blow Fulham away as
We
well.
should have followed David.
Yeah, after well, what did I say in the chat the other day? I said, uh, oh, who is it? Grealish to Bale, is it a madness?
Yeah.
It was mad not to do it. Um,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
it.
it was after seeing him benched in Europa League. I think we all knew it was coming, and he just, yeah, lots of people have been talking about his hunger and his hunger being back, and yeah, he looked really good. It was a tidy finish for the first goal, and then the second one was just showed his quality. Yeah, Pope's no slouch, and just to leave him on Bale's second goal, just left him standing there, just rooted. Yeah, but all in all, a good. I think I'm all good at the halfway point. It's a rank rise of about 20k to 120. at the moment. So yeah, at one point or yesterday after Kane scored, I was sitting at 75k. And then I think the miss right at the end, that's potentially um, for Kane owners, it's like a 15 point swing, I think it was. No,
Hmm.
more than that, probably about a 30 point swing, because yeah, 15 points for him scoring, or 12 points for him scoring, plus he probably picks up the 3 bonus points, um, instead of just, did he not pick up? He didn't even pick up 1 bonus point,
Didn't
did he?
pick up one. No.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a huge swing, that one miss on a chance that normally, like 9 out of
He
10
should be
times, he
scoring.
puts it away, doesn't he? So yeah, how's your week been?
Not as good as yours, mate. I was injecting your Ina six inject. Did you get the timing of that?
Uh,
Do you know what I'm about to say?
because he came off at half time.
Right. So he came off at half time, and I was like sending you inject emojis from Boona, being like, "Oh fuck you, you went off, ha 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 ha." And then 6 minutes later, Barnes got injured.
Oh really? I didn't realise that.
And I was like, oh fucking hell, what have I done to myself? So yeah, Barnes got injured, which screwed me over. Yeah, so I'm on 52 points. Not a great game week. I actually was on a red arrow, um, just a small one, I think, to 280 from 260. Um, DCL not performing today was disappointing. I thought he would haul tonight. To be fair, I thought it was going to be like 3-0, 3-1, something like that. But yeah, I guess we still got another game week essentially of players. I think I've got 10 to go. Um, yeah, or 9 to go. No, 9 to go. So yeah, let's see what happens. We've got a couple of questions in the chat, so we can cover it now. David said, "Talk about how you didn't get Bale." Yeah, mate, we should have followed you. Like, I don't know why you didn't get Bale. Like, we didn't put you off, surely. um, and Herm asks, what to do with Salah? I'm at a loss whether to stick or twist. Yeah, that's a really good topic, actually. Maybe something that we can cover on the pod on Thursday in detail. I mean, we can cover it a bit now in briefly. Um, Salah for me is probably going to come out soon. I don't think he can come out yet. Who have they got next?
They got Fulham at home
Liverpool,
next.
Fulham. It'd be difficult to take him out against Fulham at home. Even Fulham's defense is decent. And then in 28, they've got. I
Wolves
can't
away.
read your FPL. Wolves away. Okay. I think it's probably going to be 29, to be honest. That I end up taking him out.
Hmm.
Um, what about you? Are you thinking about taking out Salah or are you keeping him?
Yeah, I'm in the same uh, quandary at the moment, because I don't want to sell Bruno because of the amount of value I've got in him,
Yeah, same, same.
and I don't want to be selling him in the next 2 game weeks, knowing that I'll want him for Brighton at home in game week 30,
Yeah,
and so I I've always told myself that I'll be selling Salah at some point, but I might look at selling. I might roll the. At the moment, my initial idea is I roll the transfer this week. I then move Gundogan out in 29, and then I then use my two frees to then move Salah and DCL. Or I could go DCL to Antonio, like, as a move. But that all depends on the game week 28, whether they get the double announced. But I'm very likely to just roll this week, just to buy some time. Although, yeah, I'll be tempted to move DCL on to Antonio, with West Ham's fixture against Leeds at home. where he could end up hauling.
Yeah, we beat City on the weekend, right? On XG.
Oh, shall I bring it up?
I forgot that bit at the end. Yeah, on XG.
Yeah,
Can we not just say we beat City at the weekend? Yeah, 1.6 to 0.6. At half, no, it was high. It must have been high. No, it was higher than 1.6. Definitely higher because at half time it was 1.89.
yeah, that's at half time, and then it can drop. So in the second
Oh,
half,
can
it
it drop?
drops. Yeah,
Can you drop XG?
yeah, because it's worked
How
out
can
as
you
an
drop
average.
XG?
It's worth an average across the game, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize you
And
could
it
lose
depends.
XG.
It depends where you're looking at the stats, because different places have slightly
Different
tweaked
things.
algorithms. Some I take this XG from FBref,
Okay. Okay.
um,
Fair enough.
but yeah, and you've got like understat. I think Sky put one on put XG in their
I
analysis
was
as well.
following the XG philosophy on Twitter. That one.
Yeah, um,
That's right.
yeah. I use FB. I generally use understat or FBref because from what I'd read, they were the most accurate. But
I was
you get the
so
same
proud of the boys
results.
for
You
that
get the
game.
same results either way. Brighton
Yeah.
always have got expected goals of 3, and they don't score any.
Well,
Yeah,
there we go. In terms of the West Ham game, I was so proud of the boys. Like we deserved to get a point out of that game. We restricted City. We played fantastically defensively. Like as West Ham fans, like we don't expect much from our team generally, right? The only thing that we expect and that we want is that everyone puts in 100%. And if we lose games and everyone puts in 100% and we try hard, that's good enough for us. Like for play, like from a fan's perspective, and any other fan, West Ham fan, will probably tell you the same thing. Um, and that's what we got on Saturday. Like they played superb. We created good chances, as the XG will tell you, and we were unlucky. And I think out of the 20-match unbeaten run that City have had this season, we were their toughest test of that 20 unbeaten run. Um, what did you think from as a neutral?
yeah, I was really impressed. I think they were unlucky not to come away with a result at the end of the day. I think um, outside of like the moments when City scored, it's probably the most passive we've seen them play for a while. De Bruyne was very sort of withdrawn, and then he obviously produced the moment to get the first goal. And yeah, it was. I think West Ham will take a lot of confidence from that game moving forward into what is a tricky little spell for them
Mm-hmm.
over the next few game weeks. Um, but yeah, I think one of the telling things I saw were there was a picture of Vladimir Sufal
At the end,
at the
yeah,
end of the game, and he's just on his knees, head in hands, and it's like
yeah,
it was you could see that there's that belief there that they can compete with the top clubs, um, and yeah, I mean it's good to see another team getting up and involved in that top 6 race because yeah, it shouldn't be a foregone conclusion every season who finishes in the top 4, which it was for quite a while when you had the likes of United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool kind of dominating, and then City came in um, to make it a 5. Then you've got Spurs that made it a 6, and now there's probably like if you throw in Leicester, Everton, West Ham, like you've probably got 7 or 8 teams that could all potentially finish in the top 4. Although within that, only sort of one or like sort of 2 or 3 of those could realistically challenge for the title. Um, but yeah, over the season, yeah, any of if we would start the season now, you wouldn't be able to predict the top 4 between now and the end of the season
no, probably not.
because
What
those top 6 or 7 starting to all hit some form as well. Probably the least
Was
in
there
form are either Leicester or United.
was there anyone from an FPL's perspective, either from City or West Ham, that kind of stood out for you? That you would think in terms of they're a good option for the next few weeks or to get in a few weeks?
Not really, because I think with both teams, I'm quite happy with some of the players I got. I mean, um, before we came on, we spoke briefly about Jesse Lingard, but the fact that he doesn't play, he's ineligible to play in 28, kind of takes him out of the equation at least till the wild card comes in. But
Yeah,
I might look at um, yeah, trebling up on West Ham, especially with um, the upturn in the fixtures after the blank. And then towards the end of the season, I might be looking at like Sufal, Lingard, Antonio as a free, because at the moment it looks like when West Ham scores, either Lingard or Antonio are going to be involved. Very much with like how Spurs can be when it's either Son or Kane.
no, I agree. I do think Lingard's a better option than Souček now.
Hmm.
The way that he's playing
I
and
think
the
the style of the team has changed to suit Lingard and Antonio being fit.
yeah, I
Um, I,
agree.
I think we started to see that when Antonio came back from injury, and Souček was dropping a little bit deeper. Like when Antonio wasn't fit, Souček was almost playing as a false nine at times,
Hmm.
and yeah, he's dropping a bit deeper now. He'll still be that threat from set pieces, but that's all you're going to get really from him. And the odd like late run into the box, but yeah, he's not going to be that like target man that he was at some stages this season.
I think you definitely want at least Lingard or Antonio for game week 29 against Arsenal.
Hmm.
Um,
They'll cause that Arsenal team problems.
should we tell people about what's happening for that week from a podding point of view?
Oh, for game week 29, we could do.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's given
well,
exclusive to the.
we can give you an exclusive. So in game week 29 from for that week, I think probably the Monday or the Tuesday before the 29 deadline, we have another guest. So for those that will remember, a few weeks ago we had James from Planet FPL, and we're planning to have a guest on every kind of maybe 3 to 4 weeks. And we've lined up a doozy for you. We've got
Doozy.
a doozy. We've got the one and only FPL General joining us, Mark. So Mark will be joining us for game week 29,
So
and I guess
proper
the plan,
FPL royalty right there.
yeah,
I'm
proper.
gonna
Uh,
be I'm
and
gonna be so nervous.
you don't need to be, mate. He's a good lad. I really like Mark. Um, and yeah, so the plan for that week is basically to go through some free hit drafts and potential wildcard drafts as well.
Hmm.
So I think that'd be really good to get someone with so much experience, and he's like, I think he's 2000 in the world at the moment as well. He's got like 4 top 500 finishes. Like his kind of pedigree when it comes to FPL history is like a million times better than both ours. Like, so it'd be really good to get his perspective on it. Um, so yeah. Anyway, where were we? West Ham assets. Yeah. So I think at least one of Antonio or Lingard for 29. Should we move on to the next fixture? Any more questions in the chat? David just said, if it helps, I didn't go there. I went Dean instead, which has worked out okay. He then said he used 2 transfers in Sky on Barnes, and he said, wow, that's awesome. I assume in regards to General coming on. What did you think of the West Brom Birmingham? I always say Birmingham when it's Brighton. I think it's the blue and it's the like BHA. Brighton, about the ref.
Oh, it was
What did you think?
horrendous. It's horrendous.
It's
Absolute
ridiculous, isn't
farce.
it?
I think, yeah, he's obviously been put under pressure
Yeah.
um, by one set of players, and then been put under pressure by another set of players, and then they've gone, oh yeah, we'll give it to VAR. What are VAR gonna do? And I saw it's like, yeah, VAR looking for the exact time that the referee's lungs compressed to blow the whistle. um, to check that it went like the whistle blew before the ball went in. Yeah, ridiculous. I mean, it worked out well for me because I've got well, didn't actually it didn't work out at all well for me because I've got Johnston on my bench and I'm not bench boosting. So yeah, in hindsight, probably would have preferred the goal to have stood. But yeah, it's horrendous, and it just shows how unlucky Brighton have been recently. Um,
Those dunk owners must be fuming.
there's probably a few out there because Brighton's
Yeah,
defence have been pretty strong recently. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, just yeah, unbelievable. But it shows the state that the referees in this country it's in, and I'm sure we'll speak about that more in a few games' time when we
Yeah.
get through
We've
them.
got we've got a question from Satch, who says, "Hi guys, up to 16K, KDB question. 3 game gap to tomorrow. Is there a possible benching? And then they have United, Southampton, Fulham, and then Gladbach, Gladbach, all spaced 3 days apart. I can't see him playing all of those. Everyone jumping on.
I've
Um, yeah. Is it a case of you thinking about getting KDB or you've got KDB? I think that reads that he hasn't got KDB at the moment, right?
I don't think I'd be. I mean, we've been saying this a lot recently. It all depends on your plan for 29, and um, but even if I was free hitting in 29, I probably wouldn't want to invest in Kevin De Bruyne at the moment.
The
Um,
only the only way that I would potentially be investing in KDB is because essentially there's going to be 2 ways of getting him, right? So you're either going to be doing a two moves, assuming that you've got um 3 City already, so you'll need to get one City. So you'll be taking out Gundogan and putting in KDB and then taking someone out, or you'd be going Salah to KDB.
hmm,
Salah's got Fulham and who's the next fixture? Did you say after Fulham?
Wolves
Wolves.
and
And KDB's
KDB,
got a double.
and then Fulham.
Yeah, it does depend in terms of how you're set up for 29 and whether or not you can, I guess, waste a transfer on KDB.
Hmm.
Um, is he going to give you that much more than Gundogan maybe because of all the breaks? I don't really know. It is a tough one.
And he's one of the players as well. I mean, might have to have a look at Lego Mane's Pep Roulette calendar because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And yeah, just check that out because he is one of the players that doesn't actually get that much rotation. Um,
So where can they find him? At Lego Mane? Is that is
I
that
think
the
it's
Twitter handle?
yeah, and he's every time City plays, he updates this Pep Roulette calendar, and it shows whether they've played 75 to 90 minutes, um, 50 to 75 minutes, 40 to 50 minutes, etc. In each week, and it's a good way of trying to spot patterns. And it's something that I spotted with Bernardo Silva. He starts almost every game, um, and has done this season. And I said last week, I think on the pod that I think I'll expect him to get a rest, and then he started at the weekend.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, KDB's gonna play. He's gonna play United. He's gonna play. I think he might get a rest against Southampton, but then he'll play Fulham. Um, and then yeah, it's. I just. I wouldn't be. I think it is a gamble that you're taking, because you're going to either be moving off another City asset, which you're going to get the same probability of them starting, or you're going to be moving off Salah with his fixtures, and he's definitely starting, because Klopp can't afford to. He can't rotate anyone at the moment because of the injuries they've got. Yeah, even with Jota coming back, I can see
I don't
Jota
think
actually coming in for Firmino then.
I
Salah.
don't think everyone's jumping on KDB though, because I think they're all in a similar situation where they're not sure what to do in terms of whether or not it's worth going on. The only people that might be um, jumping on KDB are those that have got free hits in 29.
Hmm.
Those
Yeah,
may be jumping on KDB.
yeah.
Um,
It gives you that flexibility, doesn't it? At the end of the day, that free hit chip is now really valuable for 29. Um, so yeah, I don't think if I had the free hit chip and I had my same team with Stones, Diaz, Gundogan, and then Salah as well, I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be taking Gundogan out to bring KDB in yet. Um, I think more so because of the congestion of the fixtures. Once we get past um, that blank week, game week 29, there's slightly less congestion as well. So we can, like, yeah, there'll be just a chance that he won't get rested at all after that. So you don't have that
uh,
gamble.
we've got another question from Herm. What's your thoughts on chips within FPL? I wish we didn't have them. Would rather have just two wild cards per season. Ditch the chips. I like the chips.
Hmm.
I think for people like us that take FPL quite seriously and like to plan and kind of um, like that, I guess, extra investment is good because it means that it gives us something to plan towards. It gives us something to do other than just a wild card. I think for casuals that I guess don't plan, it's probably not great because come a blank game week, they'll log on to FPL and be like, "What the fuck? There's only four games playing," and they would have no idea otherwise, because or there's a double game week. Oh, I've only got five double game weekers or whatever. Whereas we know, and then we can plan accordingly. So I think that element of chips is good. Um, I'd like them to change them though. Like, I mean, I like
Get
the
rid of the
free hit
bench
one.
boost. Get rid of the bench boost. I like the triple
Yeah,
captain.
bench
I like the
boost.
free hit. You can't get rid of the wild cards. The bench boost is the most annoying
Yeah,
chip there
I
is
agree.
because it involves the most planning,
Yeah,
and unless you kind of get a perfect storm with it, it it never works. Like it just never works out. I think it was 2 years ago I had a bench boost for like 30 points. Um, but yeah, that like I've never had anything but like other than that, never had anything over sort of 12, 13 points.
I think what you'll probably find is nine times out of ten, if you were to look throughout your whole season, there's probably more than 50% of the occasions that your bench has scored more than your bench boost.
Hmm.
Like, probably, like that's probably happened. Um,
Well, I had one player score on my bench score more than my bench boost this season, this week.
Right,
Johnston.
Johnston, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's still got a game to go.
And he's still got a game to go, so
Yeah,
effectively he's done it in half a game week.
yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, that's the chip I'd like to get rid of, and then have something more interesting in there. Like people have spoken about stuff like because Gaffer, the championship game,
Hmm.
has had God knows how many different types of chips, because they have 3 different parts of the season. So you got the first part where you got a load of chips to use. You could use 3 out of like the given 6 chips. Then the second part you got 3 out of the 6, and then they've just started the third part where you get another 6 chips to use, where you can choose up to 3 of them. But
Right.
some of the chip ideas some have been awful, but some have been really good.
Do you remember any of them?
There was stuff like, I think there was a part the bus, which was double points on goalkeeper and defenders. So
Oh wow,
you'd stick 5 at the
5 at
back,
the back.
and
Yeah.
then hope that you can pick up 6 clean sheets.
Could you imagine if you did that in a double
And
game
then you
week?
do that in a double
Fucking
game
hell.
week. Um,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ, mate. I love that one.
um,
That's mega.
yeah, and stuff like that. I know that been looking at the chips for Elite Syrian, and they've got like a rich uncle one, which is like a free hit but unlimited money, and they do that in Champions League as well, Champions League Fantasy, um, where your free hit, you get unlimited cash as well, which I like that. But you couldn't
Mm.
have that and a free hit chip. I think you have one or the other. But I agree with you. Yeah, the chips, I enjoy that part of the game. I think like fixture carnage and stuff. It's where I actually enjoy FPL the most, with like the carnage of the fixtures. In the past few weeks, where we've been going and speculating about what the potential double game weeks are and the blank game weeks and stuff, it was really enjoyable. And then having to speculate and then plan as well,
You're
because
cracking up. Is that my quality or your quality,
that's probably your
Rob?
quality. Oh, I can hear you.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, I mean, I
The
enjoy that, and
stream is going a bit nuts.
it would be less. I think it would be slightly less enjoyable for me, as with the way that I like to play the game. I'd probably end up moving to something else.
We've got, what have we got? David says, if you don't like the FPL chips, you'll love that. And I can't ever say this, so I'm just going to say Norway FPL ones. Can you say it?
Elite
Can you
Syrian
pronounce it?
or Elite Series.
That's it. Elite Syrian.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, how was I gonna, Elite Syrian? No, that's how I was gonna say it.
like
Elite
it was
Syrian.
French.
There we go. Um, Satcher goes, that all-out attack chip a few years ago was the worst. Yeah, that was a shit chip. That was a really shit chip.
I think
I remember that
I
one.
can't remember what the exact thing was. Was it double points for all attackers?
Oh, mate. What's that? You're
Was it
cracking up. I can't hear you very well.
double points for all attackers, wasn't it?
No, it was basically you could have 2 in defense rather than 3 in defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One game week. So you could play like 2-5-3
Ah.
basically. Um, right. No more questions for now. Right. We spoke about Brighton. Oh, do you know one question I wanted to ask about Brighton? Um, why do you think their XG is so shit in terms of that they're not like producing? What's the reason for it?
Not having a striker, like a proper striker. I think
Is
that's
that what you think it is?
I think it's as simple as that. Like they the team's very it's got lots of creative players, like players that can create the chances, but they have not got someone that is reliable enough to finish. I think they need two strikers. I mean, we touched on it. I think I mentioned last week about, like, for years they had like the likes of Glenn Murray, um, and people like that, and like having that big centre forward to finish the chances off. I think it's as simple as that. If you're not, if you're expected to score what the last couple of weeks, it's been 3 goals in both games, and they haven't scored one. Like, what's the problem? It's not the midfield and the creation of the chances, is it? It's the finishing of them, and that's what they're missing. They haven't got they need someone with some pedigree to finish. I think they'll like if they don't go down, like you've there's plenty of players in the championship that can probably step up and do the job for them. But that's if those players are not in the Premier League next year.
Mm.
Like,
It was mad that they would be third in the league if they would have followed their XG.
yeah,
Like
the
if they would have converted their XG, it's ridiculous.
yeah, the it, it kind of shows the argument against using XG like solely as your base of statistics, isn't it? Really, um,
Yeah.
like yeah, you can use a part of it because it shows how creative a team are, and then you can use it for showing how bad a team is at finishing.
Hmm.
But you've also got to rely on yeah, actually watching the teams and knowing what they're doing. But Brighton are doing a lot right at one end of the pitch, and it's just not going right from the other. And I think it is purely down to the fact they haven't got a recognised striker, like a proper centre forward.
David asks thoughts on the Saka Oba combo for 29. So they're facing West Ham. My initial thoughts are if you're planning to wildcard in 30 or 31, I wouldn't do it. And that's because I don't think that they will score more than one against us. I think we're a lot better defensively. Um, City scored two because they're City, but I don't think we're going to concede more than one in many games. Like even the next few where we've got United and Arsenal and Leicester, I genuinely don't. We're playing really, really well at the moment. Um, but if you don't have a wild card, then yes, I would consider it. And the reason is because I think from 31 onwards or 32 onwards, Arsenal have a really, really good run of fixtures. And I think they're worth investing in for the last kind of 7, 8 games of the season. And that move of Saka and Oba would cover you for 29 as well, because obviously they're playing.
Hmm.
So I think if you do it in 29, who they got in 28?
They got Spurs at home 28, then
Yeah.
West Ham
So
away 29, then Liverpool at home 30. I'd probably I don't think I'd touch Arsenal players until
until 30, 31.
31, 32. Um, yeah, it's just
But the thing is, if you're not on a wild card and you're planning to bring them in for 31 and you're taking out players in 29 that are not playing in 29, then I don't think there's too much of an issue to do the move early.
hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd double up on them yet.
Yeah.
Um, I'd probably get Saka because he does look like something's going to happen every time he gets the ball on that right flank. Um,
And he's cheap as well.
and there's less risk because of his price, and you'd be happy to bench him in like game week 30. You'd be happy to bench him. Although, would you bench would you bench an attacker against Liverpool? Probably not.
Yeah.
You'd probably rather just bench your defenders against them. Um, yeah, I don't think I'd get both, but yeah, Saka definitely. Um, and yeah, I think I want to watch Arsenal some more um, because the Leicester team they played yesterday was a very different Leicester team to what it should be, and it makes you look at The result, and you can't really look into the result a bit like too much,
Hmm.
because Leicester with Maddison out and then Barnes getting that injury, like it left them with no creative players, so they couldn't
I
do
don't think they'll finish in the top four
no, not
now.
without
If
those
if
two.
those if those two are injured long term, well,
Like,
Barnes is like 6 weeks, but Madison should be back in a few weeks. Then I think I think it'll be difficult.
yeah, I think it's going to be damage limitation for them until um, at least one of them's back. Like they need to just cling on in there because I think they'll very quickly drop out. If Vardy's not getting the kind of service that he needs, then which we saw yesterday, the moment like even when Barnes was on, he wasn't getting the service there, and um, it was noticeable that how much of a goal threat both Madison and Barnes have been in the last few weeks for Leicester, and it's just they're in a lot of trouble, I think, moving forward. Um, like even
David
like
said, "Oh, sorry, go on."
Brighton might score
Yeah,
against them. um, yeah, you never know.
David said, "I'm on a wildcard 31, and I'd go there in 29 to have 11 starters in the blank. Not set in stone, of course. I don't know if those are the ones that I would choose. Um, I think maybe Saka, like you said. But I don't know if I'd have Aubameyang as well. It does depend how they play over the next few weeks, and if Aubameyang is playing really well. If he's playing really well, then maybe it's worth having him in, even against West Ham. But I can't see us leaking loads against them. Not the way that we're playing at the moment.
I mean, I would suggest weighing up how much that wild card is valued for you in 29 and in 31. Like, try and see how many players you can get for 29. Like, and if you can get to 9 or 10 with a hit, then don't use the wild card because I think it'll be
In
worth.
31, don't
No,
use it in
no,
31.
no, to use it because he's talking about using it in 29.
No, he was saying
To
I'm on
use
I'm on a wild card 31 and I'd go there in 29 to have 11 starters in the blank. Oh, go there in 29 in terms of, does he
wild
mean
card in
go there
29.
meaning wild carding? Sorry, I thought he meant as in getting Saka and Aubameyang in.
Hmm.
Right, okay.
Um, yeah, I wouldn't wild card into the blank game week because
Yeah, neither would I. Definitely no.
you're leaving yourself. I think you're in a better position going with 9 players than you are to wild card into that blank because
Yeah, I
it's
wouldn't.
so blank.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I think you'd end up wanting to just wild card 10 players
Yeah.
into like for that week because you want to move on to you'd look at the next week fixtures and yeah you'd want to have coverage as much as you can elsewhere. Like you'd be tempted by Chelsea. You'd want Chelsea. You'd want Leeds. You'd want Everton. You'd want um, who else? West Ham. Um, yeah, I just yeah, not for me. Oh, he is doing it in
Yeah,
the third
see,
one.
see, yeah, see, that's what I thought. When he said I'd go there in
I
29 to
thought he
have,
meant.
I
Yeah,
thought
I read it as like
wild
he'd.
card in 29.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, no. I think he meant in terms of Saka and Aubameyang in. Yeah, good. Yeah, definitely don't wildcard in 29.
um, yeah. So
And by the way, the 31, for those that don't know and haven't heard us say this before, 31 is a good week to wildcard rather than 30 because the players that you'll have from the blank game week in 29 have got good fixtures in 30.
hmm,
So it's worth holding them for 30 and doing it in 31 rather than a wild card straight after, because the players that you do want for 31 onwards, their good fixture on starts in 31 rather than 30. So that's why I would do 31 rather than 30. I think that's a good choice. That's definitely what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah, I think I'm still unsure whether I'm going to hold it for later to really attack the last 5 fixtures for, I think it's Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham. Like go with at least 2 from each of them for 33 onwards or 34 onwards. But yeah, we shall see. What's next? What's next?
Wolves and no, Leeds and Villa. So we'll go on for another 10 minutes or so. So if you've got any questions, just pop it in the chat. Right, Leeds and Villa. Emmy does Emmy things.
Yeah, Emmy was. Oh, he was brilliant again.
Yeah.
My concern at the moment is the quality of football we're going to see at Ellen Road between now and the end of the season.
Oh yeah, with that fucking pitch.
And I'm surprised we haven't seen
Any
any,
injuries? Yeah.
although Martinez picked up a knock, but I don't think it was related to the state of the pitch. But I'm surprised we haven't seen any nasty muscular injuries.
I was thinking the same. I was
But
thinking the same.
yeah, I think it's got to be something that plays on your mind with any players you've got visiting Ellen Road,
Did you know where they got
especially
their
more
pitch from?
technical from Spurs.
Did you? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, they because Spurs they like have a constant like they have a like a greenhouse underneath the stadium.
Right.
I
Okay.
think where
It's
they
the
have an
NFL
extra
pitch.
pitch. Yeah, but then they have like an extra pitch or something underneath that.
Right.
Like with constant sunlight on it and stuff. So they just obviously went, oh, go and have that. It's off.
300 grand. Fucking hell.
And they do, and it's done that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, you shouldn't be relaying a pitch halfway through a season, really, should you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what happens when you do, and it doesn't have time to sort of bed in properly. It just gets cut up and moves all over the place, which is happening at Ellen Road. So yeah, that concerns me. Not a great game. Um, yeah, well, like, well, I was expecting goals galore, and it wasn't that. But I think it's partly to um, the quality of the 2 keepers. I think Meslier actually showed um, that he is a reasonably good keeper, especially for a 20-year-old.
If Jack Grealish is out for past 29, and I don't know if we're going to find out. Um, I think El Ghazi is a really, really good shout. He fucking shoots on sight. Like he has so many shots a game. Remember that spell that he went for it, like the middle part of the season. He scored like 5 and 6,
Yeah, when
something like
Barkley
that.
was out, it was when Barkley
Yeah.
was out because he when he's on the pitch, he's on penalties as well.
I really think he is a good option. I just don't know if when Grealish is back, if El Ghazi comes back in. I don't think he will.
Hmm.
Um,
No, that's the problem.
so
He's an understudy to Grealish and Barkley.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, unless
But Barkley
Barkley's
was on the bench,
yeah
and El Ghazi started ahead of him.
yeah it's I mean he was poor last week. Who did they play last week? He was really poor. Um, yeah, and we're starting to see um, the real Ross Barkley because he
Mm.
has these like little stages where he's absolutely brilliant, and you think, yeah, this is the Ross Barkley I want playing for England. Um, and then he turns into the shit Ross Barkley that yeah you wouldn't have on the bench at well you'd have him on the bench at Villa. Um, yeah, I think it just sums him up. Um, yeah, nothing much more to take
Newcastle,
from that game.
nothing. Um, Well, one other thing that I found quite funny, and I think James from Planet FPL tweeted this. So obviously we bench boosted in 19, right?
Hmm.
Was it 19? Yeah, we bench boosted in 19, and I I bench boosted with like three Leeds players, I think it was, and it was like a shit bench, and then they lost 1-0, and a lot of people have done exactly the same thing in this double game week, bench boosting with three leads or two leads, and they lost 1-0.
Yeah.
Like, so they're fucked over bench boosters
Yeah.
hard, hard. Um, Newcastle Wolves. Anything from an FPL point of view there for you? I'm genuinely looking at Ruben Neves from 31.
Neves for my wild card. Yeah, I think
Yeah, same.
he's. I didn't even realise he's only 20 years old. I thought he'd been around.
What?
I thought he'd been around forever.
He's 20. I thought he was like 28, 29.
Is it Neves? It's one of them.
No, it can't
Or it
be.
might be Neto. Is it Neto?
Neto,
They're all.
Neto. Like, I'm Googling it now. Neves, how old is he? He's 23. Still quite young.
Oh yeah,
He's 23.
23 then.
He looks like fucking
He looks like he's like
29.
40.
Yeah.
He looks like he's like about to go and
Yeah.
retire with Messi and Ronaldo on
That's
the
still
beach.
low. That's still young.
But it feels
23
like
is
he's been
young.
around for like since Wolves. Well,
Yeah, it does.
that he has been around since Wolves came to the Premier
Yeah,
League.
yeah,
They've only been in the Premier. This is what their third season.
yeah.
Yeah. So, um, but yeah, it's yeah, he's definitely someone I'm keeping an eye on because he seems to make the like most chances and very much how like Podence was at the beginning of the season. He's like doing that from the other flank and trying to make chances for himself. Um, they will come. They'll come good at some point. Wolves will. I think they're just in a bit of a rut and trying to find how they how to play without Jimenez there. But he's actually back in training. Um,
Don't
I
know when
think
he's going to be on the pitch, though, right?
I don't. I still think it will be like at least mid to late April before we see him on the pitch. But it'd be great to see him any point before the end of the season,
Yeah,
considering how serious originally we thought it was, and that could be. It looked like it was going to end his career
yeah,
at one point. So yeah, fingers crossed we get to see him because he brings out the best in that Wolves team because they've got some players that can really deliver a football.
Palace and Fulham.
That's about it.
Uh,
Don't really need to talk about it. I didn't even watch the game, so
any. Yeah, okay. Let's move on.
the one game on
Defensive Fulham
free.
assets potentially,
Yeah, I'm just
maybe.
disappointed with like they kept the clean sheet, but
Yeah.
Aina didn't play
So you
90.
made the right move, but
Yeah, I think in
you
hindsight
know
I was greedy because
the attacking returns, right?
yeah I could have gone to Adebayor.
Emmanuel Adebayor.
Yeah, I could have gone to him, the centre half, and he's played like the most minutes for Fulham this season, and I'd have got 6 points. But I
Yeah,
went for the player that I could potentially get 10 points. So
yeah.
yeah, it was just a little bit of greed. Probably my only regret, really, for for the game week.
Leicester Arsenal. So we did say originally that we'll try and cover some Barnes replacements, but I think we haven't got much time now, so we'll do that on the main pod. Um, but I think Leicester are a no buy zone now.
Yeah,
I don't think you.
not until we see either Barnes or Madison back on the football pitch. And
Um,
maybe I think that could be like if Barnes is 6 weeks, that's like May by the time he's like playing 90 minutes and full fitness.
yeah,
And if Madison's a few weeks, you're looking at mid-April. I'd I think Leicester it's kind of a case of see you next season. Um,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't think I'll ever own. I probably won't ever own Jamie Vardy again in FPL. I don't think he'll go another season.
You don't think so? He
Well,
will.
he'll go another season, but I don't think he'll be like as prolific. I think
Yeah,
we have seen that slight drop off this season, especially towards the
yeah.
end. He hasn't got the legs to do what he's been doing for the last few years in the Premier League.
Tottenham Burnley. Within the first minute, I knew this was going to be 5-0. Like I know it ended 4-0, but I was like, this is going to be 5-0. This is going to be a rout.
Yeah, I think I messaged
Like
you and went, "Yeah, this is going to be a wrap." The way that
yeah,
Spurs started that game,
I was,
and
I
then
was like every time they went into the box, like a goal, goal,
mm,
and then I started watching it, and I was like, give it to Kane, give it to fucking Kane, give it to Kane. That's how I was every time like Bale had the ball or like Son had the ball was gonna shoot. I was like, fuck off, pass it to Kane.
yeah, it's
He was playing so deep in that game.
I think it's because of Bale and Son, like he
Yeah.
can just drop into that hole. Bale and Son can mop it up around him. Um, yeah, it could be Bale. If the three of them consistently start each week, or it's until they work out how they want to play. And if Mourinho decides he wants to throw Ali into the mix as well, and then I think that's when you see Kane really push forward, and then you'll have Bale and Son each side and Ali in the hole. But they haven't got
Hmm.
that player in the hole at the moment. So, like Mora was there, but he ended up playing more as the number 9 and Kane dropping into the number 10. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Ali's starting to play himself into with his performances in Europe and the goal he scored last week, which was a peach. Yeah, he's playing himself into contention to be starting. I'd start him over Moore at the moment, and I think you've got a brilliant front four that would scare the living daylights out of Fulham on Thursday. Yeah, just annoyed
We'll
that
see.
I didn't go gamble on Bale for Grealish.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have triple
Yeah.
captained him. I still would have triple captained Kane.
It was like 9.3 though. I didn't realise how expensive he was. Quite
Uh,
expensive.
yeah, I might. Oh, I probably wouldn't. I probably would have been priced out actually. I'd have had to have gone Salah to Bale. That'd have been a gamble.
Chelsea United. Anything from an FPL point of view? Not really, I don't think. Other than
I think Luke Shaw again showed
yeah,
how dangerous he can be down that left-hand side. Um, yeah, I think it shows that the moment Cavani's fit, he's back in the starting lineup, and I think he
hmm
could be there for the rest of the season. So that's someone to watch over the next few weeks. I think he is back in training and in contention for not for midweek, but for the game on Sunday against City. Um, so yeah, probably wouldn't look at him before 29, but maybe as a wild card option as a sort of medium price striker. Um, yeah, not much else to report. I think Chelsea um, just lacking that like being clinical and the final product in the last third. And it was the same for United. Um, I think both teams. It was very sort of swings and roundabouts game where um, like Chelsea started really well for like the first 20 minutes, and then United the second 20 minutes of the first half they did well, and then like in 10-minute stints each, Chelsea and United um, went at each other yesterday, and it was yeah. I think a draw was a fair result, despite how I feel about the penalty decision.
yeah, that was ridiculous.
Mm.
Um, Sheffield United, Liverpool. The only thing to say here is Salah didn't return. I mean, he could have.
He could have had three or
Um,
four by half time.
yeah, I don't know what it is with. I mean, we covered Salah earlier, and we'll probably cover him a bit more in the main pod. Um, yeah, is there anything else to talk about from an FPL point of view of Liverpool?
No, no, probably just jumping off, but keeping an eye out. I think that forward line, I think, is going to be very different when Jota's back, and
Yeah,
he's very much on my radar as my
I
sort
picked him up in my draft team this week.
yeah, he's very much on my radar as like Liverpool, just some aid Liverpool coverage, because he's worth his price. It's the right value you're getting for him, and I think he starts ahead of Firmino,
Yeah.
as he was before he got injured.
I don't think there's anything to talk about from an Everton and Southampton point of view either.
No, we touched on it at the beginning. Yeah,
We've got a question from Satch. So, what are your quick fire predictions for the rest of the games? Okay, right. City Wolves. I will go with 2-0 City.
yeah, I'll go 3-0 City.
Um, Burnley and Leicester. Ooh, I will go with 1-1 here.
0-0.
Okay. Um, Sheffield United and Villa. I will go with 1-0 Villa.
Yeah, 1-0 Villa. I'll say it. I'll agree with that.
Um, Palace and United, I will go with 2-0 United.
I'm gonna go 3-0 United. I have to go more because I'm a United fan.
Fulham Tottenham, I will go 1-0 Tottenham.
Oh, 6-0 Tottenham.
Harry Kane with 6 goals.
Oh my God. I'd
Could you
literally,
imagine?
I'd be sitting just there on the sofa, just doing something involving tissues.
I was just about to do that. I was just about to.
It'd just be the most amazing
Yeah.
start to my Thursday because it's an early kickoff as well, 6 o'clock kickoff. Start to Thursday evening. I'll probably only get to watch the second half because it's like bedtime for my boys, so between 6 and 7. So I might not get to watch it until 7 o'clock.
Just make sure you put your boy to bed before you watch the
In case Kane goes crazy.
game. Everton. Everton West Brom. I will go with I'm gonna say 1-1.
I'm going 2-1 Everton.
Liverpool Chelsea, I'm going with 0-0.
1-0 Liverpool.
1-0 Liverpool. Right, FPL Penguin says Hope City game finishes 0-0 versus Wolves. Or another Stones Diaz goal would be lovely too. Yeah, you were fucking lucky with that, weren't you? Stones and Diaz. I hope Diaz is rested.
I think
Fucking prick.
I think they both play. I think it'll be
But yeah,
Cancelo. I think it'll be Cancelo, Stones, Diaz, Laporte as a back four.
what Laporte left back?
Yeah, but then they move into a free, and then Cancelo slots into the midfield, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think at home against West Ham, it's a very different game to against Wolves,
Yeah.
where there isn't that attacking threat really. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I think he plays a lot more attacking, and that involves Cancelo in the midfield. If I was a Cancelo owner, I would not be worrying at all because
No, I think he plays.
I think he plays, and I think he potentially gets a return, but he won't outscore unless he gets like a couple of returns. He will not outscore uh, Diaz and Stones this week because I think they both play.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
not long.
Right.
We'll know this time tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just thick and
Yeah.
fast.
How many games? Who's on tomorrow? Is it just City tomorrow? Yeah, it's just City
Yeah, it's just
tomorrow,
City tomorrow night. Yeah.
right? Right. I think that's a wrap, mate. We'll cover some more detail in the pod on Thursday. We'll go over how we finished. And we'll look at some Barnes replacements, Salah replacements, and see if anything else that comes up from the next week that becomes a talking point that we feel is important to discuss. Right. Until next week or until Thursday, have a fantastic game week. Not to you, Rob. I hope you have a shit one, and I can catch up with you. Anything you want to say quickly before we pop off?
No, yeah, we'll record Thursday night. Yeah, just so people don't expect the pod to be out Thursday. We're recording Thursday night straight after the game week's finished, so it'll be out at some point, late morning, lunchtime on Friday.
Satch has just said that Kane 6-0 image will give me nightmares.
Wait until it
Have
happens.
you seen that GIF? It just reminds me of that GIF. You know that is it South Park GIF?
Oh, the one of Randy.
Yeah, that one. And he's just got cum everywhere.
It's like,
Like that just reminds it. Yeah, yeah. At the computer table, I think. I think that's the one. That's the first thing when you said that's the first thing that came into my mind.
if if Kane scores 6, I will recreate that GIF.
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Not real, like mayonnaise or something. But I'll just like.
Mate, I started the pod right with a few weeks ago with a Lingard celebration. You can start the pod with that celebration. Oh god. Yeah. So anyway, where were we?
Yeah. So Friday lunchtime,
Right.
the pod will be out. So yeah, we'll try and post what the discussion points of the pod will be some point on Wednesday. Yeah, so feel free to just reply to that post with any questions you got, and we'll get them answered on the pod. Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. We're now on 50 subscribers. Yeah, 50 now. So we'd love to get to our next milestone, milestone of 100. So please, yeah, share the pod and give us some good likes and
Good
all of that
likes.
jazz. Good
Give us some
likes.
good likes.
Have a good evening, and we'll see you on Thursday or Friday, whenever you listen.
Cheers, guys. See you later.